In today's video we'll be looking at Auto Finesse Enigma, using it on an engine that looks like this, transforming it to one that looks like this. All with the use of just Auto Finesse Enigma as the cleaning agent itself. Auto Finesse Enigma is a high foaming degreaser suitable for modern and classic engine compartments, safe on all surfaces from bare metal paint to rubber. Doubles up also as a cleaner for door jambs and wheel arches as is a heavy degreaser. Here I will be testing Auto Finesse Enigma on the Audi TT engine bay. As far as I'm aware, this engine bay has never been cleaned, and I had to do some maintenance on it anyway to do with the headlights, so as they were already out, I knew it was the perfect time to give this engine bay a scrub. As I did in the TIG 1 video, I removed the engine cover and any soft componentry underneath the engine cover, making sure I had full access to all available parts to be cleaned under there. This engine was perfect, being a diesel with 130,000 miles on it. White painted body areas that were quite heavily greased and grubbed up, through to plastic and metal areas that also needed some good attention due to dust and grime that had accumulated over its 9-year life cycle so far. A perfect test bed to see what Auto Finesse Enigma could really do. I started by using the Dressle pressure washer and giving the engine a real thorough pre-rinse. The aim with this was to knock off as much of the dirt that's loose and not built in as possible, thus giving the cleaner, Auto Finesse Enigma, a slightly easier job and a more effective clean when we come to using the chemical. Now a lot of people always comment and always ask, is it safe to jet wash your engine bay? On a vehicle like this, that's modern with modern electrical components and plugs, it's more than safe. As long as you're not silly and you're not jamming the jet wash into, let's say, a fuse box or an alternator directly, you're more than safe. Here I've used this to rinse off the whole engine bay, including the top of the fuse box and all the other areas in the engine. Once it was thoroughly rinsed down, it was time to come back in with the Enigma. Now in the UK, Enigma is not exactly an expensive product, selling at $9.95 from Auto Finesse directly themselves. So when I thought about how much cleaner I expect to use on this engine, and I thought, well, why not try and use the whole bottle? It only cost a tenner, so if cleaning my engine cost a tenner to really heavily degrease it, you can't really argue at that. So during this whole process, I do empty the 1 litre bottle. Now if your engine's not so dirty, to be honest, you might only use half the bottle, but like I say, this was really grimy, and on a white painted engine bay, it needed the work. Now as you'll notice earlier in the video, I highlighted that Auto Finesse have put new black triggers on. This is a great improvement from the last ones and makes the use of the product so much easier. As you'll see from me spraying the product on, there was a lot more of an even distribution to the product being atomized on the engine itself. Now the engine was wet, covered in degreaser, and the degreaser was setting to work on some of the tighter areas. I took one of the Auto Finesse Trio brushes. Now, not the most glamorous brush, but everyone needs some hard working brushes in their arsenal. So this was the perfect accompaniment to use with Auto Finesse Enigma. Now the one thing I really enjoyed about my experience when using Enigma, other than it being pre-diluted, which is always handy, but it's the high foaming concentration nature of the product itself. Sometimes you get some high foaming products that probably shouldn't be high foaming, but in this case, working on this white painted area of the car, you can see is quite built up with what was clear grease and then dirt and grime that has stuck to it on the hinges. The good part of the high foaming nature is you can see that the brush is actually lifting the dirt away and it's being suspended in the foam from the cleaner. thus making sure that the cleaner keeps it away from the painted surface until you're ready to come back in and rinse that off with a pressure washer or a hose. This is a really good touch. Now, I did test this throughout the engine bay. I used it on the white painted surfaces and it worked lovely. Where they were lacquered, it cleaned very easy, and again you can see the dirt being suspended within the cleaner. It also works really nice on all the plastic components that you also find in modern engine bays. Now here you'll see that I'll use this on the cover of a fuse box, the air box, bits and pieces like that. It had no problem lifting a built-in grime that was stuck in porous plastic materials. And the same can be said for some of the tighter, more intricate areas around some of the valves and components around the turbo of the engine that are metal. Unfortunately, due to how tight it is at the back of the engine, I couldn't get a camera in there, but rest assured that this degreaser really does degrease and does what it says on the tin. One of the toughest sections in the main lower engine compartment itself was around the oil filler cap. Careless oil filling over the past 130,000 miles had left this to be a very built up, grimy, slippery area that I knew was going to be a tough ask. Now you'll notice it was that grimy and slippery and oily because actually this had knocked out the foaming nature of the product, hence why I then re-lubricated once most of that had gone. But rest assured, it had no problems cleaning it up. Now once it was fully cleaned, it was just time to come back in with the pressure washer again. Like I say, I'm using the Dressle pressure washer. This product, as with all the others in this video, are linked in the description below. If you don't have a pressure washer, you can use a hose and it's more than safe. Like I say, a little common sense goes a long way when cleaning your engine bay. Both a hose and pressure washer are safe. Just take your time, and if you are a little bit worried, cover anything up that you might think would be delicate in your engine. Now with the lower half of the engine now completed and clean, however still rinsed and damp, it was time to come back in and hit the underside of the bonnet, or hood if you're an American viewer. Now, the TT's got a carpet-based sound insulator underneath. It was only 6 clips that hold it in, and from past cleaning on bonnets with these in, I knew it was worthwhile popping that out. All it needed was a hoover and a light wipe over with a damp microfiber cloth, thus revealing further dirt that had been trapped under it. Again, I like to always pre-rinse the surface that I'm going to put cleaner on itself. Now you can see I'm going pretty heavy with the rinse in here, and you'll see how much dirt's already coming off, but on the flip side, how much is actually staying on. That lower portion was really dirty and really grubby and grimy, so much so that the pressure washer didn't actually remove all that much. So, a good test bed again for the Enigma Engine Bay Cleaner. Some of you are probably wondering why I'm cleaning this second, but it's just personal preference. Personally, I don't really like to be dripped on. If you was to work on this section first and then come back in and do your main engine and you was deep in the engine bay, getting dripped on the back of your head does get slightly annoying. However, you can do this one first and then give it a dry off, but you'll have to dry it again either way. So I like to do it second, because when I rinse this for the final time, it will give the engine a final rinse itself. Here I sprayed Enigma on the top half of the hood or bonnet to start with, and then because I was using a large painted area, I decided to come back in with a synthetic wash mitt and see how it worked. Much to my delight, the wash mitt actually worked really well with the Enigma, still allowing it to foam up nice and highly so the dirt would be suspended within it. However, the wash mitt enabled me to cover a larger area of the car while still maintaining a good level of cleaning. In some cases it is quite useful to grab your trio brush again, one of the 3 different sizes, whichever suits you best, and come back and give that a little latch an extra hit. These can often get accumulated with clear grease or grime and build up because they're quite at the forefront of the bonnet. However, this one cleaned up quite nice with just the use of the Enigma and the wash mitt. You'll see I started with the top of the bonnet. This then allowed any further parts of Enigma to be able to dribble down and start work on the lower half whilst I was working on the top. With that done, I come back using the final part of my Enigma in my bottle, ensuring that the lower half was fully covered with cleaner and was able to set to work while I went back and got my synthetic wash mat back out of the bucket. This was due to be the grimiest area on the car, so this was the good test. Now, in the time that I had already gone to get the wash mitt back out of the bucket, on the lower left half of the bonnet, you can actually see the Enigma had actually pulled the dirt away from the paint and was starting to run down. A clear indication that this cleaner really does work. So, really, to recap while I'm cleaning this final area before the beauty shots at the end. I've cleaned the engine bay, which was heavily grimy, for just £10 with a 1 cleaner. This cleaner lives up to its name as it's high foaming and it really does degrease. In addition, the new black triggers that Auto Finesse are supplying really do help the product use. And, of course, it always helps when it's high foaming and that lifts the dirt, as we've seen earlier in the video. Now, one quick last shot that wasn't very me, but I thought I had to show you, was a quick 50-50 of the dirt that was running down from the Enigma against the dirt that was being suspended. Again, a clear indication this product really does work. With that all said and done, all that was left was a final rinse. Again, just a thorough final rinse off was all that was needed to reveal that clean white paintwork that was left from the factory. I have to say I was really happy with all of the results achieved, from painted to rubbers to bare metal. This cleaner really does live up to its name. A pleasure to use. Once that was said and done, the engine was dried and dressed with a little bit of Dressle, and I'm sure you'll agree the results speak for themselves. A factory fresh engine bay ready to grace the road again. Like I say, the link's in the description for the products that was used, and as always I appreciate you checking in for another video. As always, be sure to share, like, comment, subscribe and all of that good stuff down below for more detailing videos in the near future. See you next time.